So this one is a power talk for every man whose pain was laughed off, whose trauma was masked as luck, whose voice was stolen before it ever found its pitch. And this one does not flinch. It names the wound and demands the world to listen. This one is called He Was Never Lucky. And it's a power talk for the silenced men. They said he should be proud. A woman wanted him. Isn't that the dream? But what they never saw was the way his body froze while his soul fell through the cracks of the world that only speaks the language of conquest, never consent. They called it a rite of passage. He called it a quiet hell. But when a man says no and no one listens, when he screams on the inside but it comes out as silence, this world doesn't call it trauma. It calls it lucky. He was never lucky. He was broken, and you clapped for it. You laughed when he flinched. You high-fived his abuser. You told him to man up, as if masculinity is armor thick enough to keep out shame. But let me tell you what manhood really is. It is not silence. It is not swallowing pain to fit your mold. It is not dressing wounds as experience or calling violation a score. Manhood is truth. It is saying, I was hurt and it is not okay. It is grieving without apology. It's standing tall in the rubble of what was stolen and saying, my story deserves space. To the men who've been touched without permission, who've been told their bodies couldn't be victims because they are supposed to want it, I see you. I believe you. And the lie they fed you that you should be grateful, well, that dies here. Because this pain is real. This rage is earned. And this healing, it begins when we burn down the myth that only women can bleed. Men bleed too, in silence, in shame, in shadows. But not anymore. We are stepping into the light, where no survivor is questioned for surviving, where no pain is laughed off, and no man is told that the worst thing to happen to him was a favor. He was never lucky. He was robbed. And now he speaks. Now we speak. And we will not be silent again. This number 2 is an earthquake under the silence, a strike of lightning to the lie that male survivors should be grateful for their trauma. This is not just a power talk, it is a reckoning. And it is called He Was Never Lucky, Reforged in Fire. They said he was lucky. They laughed when he flinched, told him to man up when his hands wouldn't stop shaking, and told him boys don't cry and men don't break. And sex, no matter how unwanted, was a badge, not a scar. The world dressed his trauma in a trophy and dared to call it a gift. He was never lucky. He was violated. He was discarded. And when he reached out, the world said, isn't that every boy's dream? No, that was not a dream. It was a cage. It was a scream stuck in his throat for years, soaked in silence and sealed in shame. Because when the victim is a man, they don't call it rape, they call it experience. When the violator is a woman, they call it seduction. But he called it hell. And in society, you clapped for it. You made jokes about his pain. You said, I wish that happened to me. While he sat alone in the dark, replaying the moment his power was stolen and the world handed him a high five. Let me say this loud enough to crack the sky. A man's pain is real. His boundaries are sacred. His body is his own. And masculinity, true masculinity, is not measured in silence, conquest, or how well you pretend to be okay. It is measured in the courage to feel, to name, to heal. So to every man who was enduring and has been erased, you are not invisible. You are not weak, and you are not alone. Your story matters. Your hurt matters. Your healing is revolutionary. And we will not let another boy grow up believing his trauma is a punchline. We will not let another man bury his pain under someone else's idea of manhood. This ends here. Here where tears are sacred, here where truth takes the mic, here where a man rises not as a survivor of shame, but as a survivor of lies. Let the world listen. He was never lucky. He was never to blame. He is not broken. He is the fire they could not put out. And now he speaks.